welcome to my vlog. I'm Millie, the maker behind Ode to Paper Studio, and this month it's your reminder to keep exploring. I made a trip to Hamburg primarily to visit the Book Art Print Fair. That's a rough translation of Buchdruckkunst. And I also just wanted to spend some time discovering the city. I had never been there before. And how I like to experience a city is actually to keep quite a loose schedule. Sometimes if I feel like I have to check time or the map too often, it just overwhelms me and distracts me from enjoying. And rather just let myself embrace that feeling of being a flaneur and drifting around between some kind of destination and loosely discovering what the city had to offer. So I started out in the park called Planten and Blumen, and it has a beautiful Japanese garden with all the delights of cherry trees in spring. I sat there for quite a while and sketched the trees. It was actually a beautiful way to start the day. So then I skipped over to Schanzenviertel. That's known for its hip culture, and there was for sure a lot of cool shops, bars, and I even had tiles with my favorite purple colors. Then I started walking south and came across Park Fiction, which was actually the subject of my architecture thesis. So that was pretty cool to see it in real life. And of course, you can't go to Hamburg without a quick view of the harbor. So that was the end of my first day, and I can recommend if you want to visit Hamburg and walk around a lot, please take good shoes and take a lot of water. It is a big, big city. Yeah. So on the second day, I headed back into the center, came out at the main train station, and just realized I was actually headed for the Kunsthalle, and then realized that on the map, just opposite the station, there's the Museum for Kunst und Gewerbe, and this is kind of like museum for applied arts and crafts, let's say, decorative arts. And so I thought actually that's way more interesting for me, and I didn't even buy a ticket to see the exhibitions, but even in the entranceway and the bookshop, and there's some halls in the bottom floor which you can access for free. It was just really, really cool. It was so inspiring, that space, how it was designed, and they had these beautiful floating lamps in the stairway. I was just mesmerized. After that, I headed to a concept store. I really love checking these out in cities because they have such cool products and often kind of unique designer objects you can only find from the region. And across the street was the House of Arts and Crafts. It's called Koppel 66. I would describe this house as a center for arts and crafts. There's a lot of designers who rent out atelier studio spaces for their shop space and workshop space. I was honestly so inspired by the displays of products and materials from the designers, and just walking around this building brought so much delight to my little handcrafter self. This was the studio of a ceramicist. They weren't open, unfortunately, but they just had the most beautiful textures, colored products in their shop window. And on the ground floor is the Café Koppel. It's really beautiful inside and even outside as well. I recommend it for a stop off. From there, I took a short walk across the lake and then a subway to a northwest district where I found some beautiful little shops on this one street. It was more like window shopping for me because unfortunately a lot of them were closed. I'm not sure why, maybe just the beautiful weather made everybody shut early on the Friday. This was a gorgeous print shop. It had some really beautiful designs in the window, and I was just in love with their old machines they had on display. I couldn't leave Hamburg without a trip to Rosa Quitta. This is a beautiful stationery shop. And finally in the evening I arrived at the Book and Print Art Fair at the Museum for Work. Beautiful old brick buildings. There's a lot of history there to discover. That is the wheel that carved out the underground system. Yeah. I didn't actually take any footage of the exhibition out of respect for the artists and designers who were exhibiting their works, but I did wander around the upstairs permanent exhibitions where you can see a lot of amazing old machines and typesets. Equipment on display. It was really beautiful and inspiring. I do love me an old serif script. Yeah, and so that was the end of my days there. There was a beautiful sunset to round off the evening, and so I took some rest and headed back to Freiburg the next day. I have to say Hamburg wasn't my kind of city. It was a bit too big, but it just made me so much more the happier to arrive back in Freiburg. And it's lovely to know that you live in the right place. Sometimes you have to go away in order to see that. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.